Welcome to Better Coffee. I'm Jamie.
I'm Joey.
So, Joey, what are we drinking today?
We are drinking this, Jamie. It is Counterculture's Iridescent.
Oh, yeah.
It's a blend of 3 coffees from Kenya, Ethiopia, and Colombia. And what do you think? What do you think about it?
I will say this. I like the combination of those coffees. It has a very elegant taste.
I think that's the box.
Probably. That's just already
It's pretty
working your mind. That's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
But it is. It's a very balanced coffee. It's a little sweet, a little fruity.
Yes.
It's a nice coffee. Check them out. Definitely drink stuff from Counterculture.
Very nice. So we're very excited. This is our first episode. We look forward to not being the last. We thank you so much for you guys joining us. And
Yes.
we got plenty of stuff to talk about.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Because, Jamie, do you know what the most popular beverage in the world is? Next to water, of course.
Coffee.
It's actually tea.
No.
But we like coffee better, so that's what we're going to focus on. That's what we're going to talk about today.
Is it really tea?
Yeah, it's really tea. But
No, tea's for the flu. I'm kidding. We like tea.
we like tea.
Yeah,
we like tea. But we like coffee just a little bit better.
Way better. Yeah. So, we thought it would be appropriate
Yeah.
for our first episode to talk about, I would say, the most common misconception, maybe. Perhaps the one we've heard the most.
Yeah, I wouldn't say misconception,
Yeah.
but maybe people's most biggest complaint
Yes.
about coffee.
That's a good way to put it, yes. Why is my coffee bitter? In fact, there's a lot of people who don't drink coffee because they assume that coffee is just a bitter beverage.
Yeah. And so we're going to talk about why people feel that's the case, but also, discuss that bitterness is a quality of coffee, but something that can be enjoyed in a cup.
It's true. And I think there are several factors that influence that whole notion of bitterness.
Yeah.
I mean, we could start off with geography, for example, where we grew up, our background. Me, in my case, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. It was very common. You went to grandma's house, she would have the mocha pot, la greca on the stovetop, and that coffee would be boiling. You would go in and, it would smell like burned rubber.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you would just drown it in boiled milk, some brown sugar, some cookies. But that was my notion.
Right.
I grew up, my coffee, I would associate it to that smell, to that taste. So that has a lot to do with how we view coffee.
Definitely. And myself, I was raised in a household that didn't drink coffee. None of my parents drank coffee. So most of the coffee that I experienced was gas station coffee. Stuff that had been sitting for hours after it had been brewed. It was just stale and bitter and nasty stuff. And so that's what I associated coffee as.
Yeah. And I think also there's a notion of what strong coffee is.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of people say, I like my coffee strong, which is nice, which is okay. We like strength in our coffee.
You like your coffee to taste like something.
Yes.
Yeah.
But people think that strong coffee equals burnt, bitter coffee.
Right.
Which is not true. Or not completely true.
Yeah, not completely true. I think, it's kind of just a misconception about coffee that the more bitter it is, the heavier it is, the stronger it is. And actually, it sometimes can be the opposite. Yeah. Really, sometimes the lighter it is, the fruitier it is, the more caffeine it has, the more, the stronger the cup.
Yes, and also, it's interesting to know that in my case, because I grew up around that, even now that I've been exposed to more coffee, better coffee, I've tried so many different things that have opened my mind and my notion of coffee, but I still go home to that burnt smell, and I enjoy it because it's familiar, it's familiar. So what we want to do is address these topics to help everyone break with what's familiar and open our notion of coffee. Therefore, tasting and enjoying
better coffee.
So, I think it would be appropriate if we address, I would say, 3 main reasons for bitterness in coffee. There are a ton. It could be...
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, we could go into detail, but we want to cover 3 basic ones. And Joey, you can start us off.
So the first main cause of bitter coffee is over roasting.
Yes.
I would say. And so when you have mass market coffee, a lot of people would consider this to be craft coffee, kind of the same as craft specialty coffee, craft beer, specialty beer, things like that are made in smaller batches, more attention given to detail.
True.
But can then compare that with things that are, mass market.
Yeah.
So for instance, certain coffee brands will want the coffee to taste the same if you get it in New York, if you get it in Atlanta, if you get it in Tokyo.
Yes.
If you get that cup of coffee, it's going to taste the same. So what do they do to it? They burn it. And so when I think about burnt coffee, I think about something. I think about, there it is, toast. How many of us have had a piece of toast they left in the toaster or toaster oven too long, and it's turned out like this? What does it taste like? Can you even eat it?
No.
I don't like it. No, get that out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't want that toast. And we don't want coffee that looks like that either. But better if we get coffee or toast that looks like this. A nice golden brown. It tastes nice. It's a little sweet. Yeah. And that's the same thing with like craft coffee or specialty coffee. It's more care is given to the roasting. And so it's got a nicer flavor. It's less bitter than mass market coffee.
Yeah, I agree. And I like that illustration because it's true. I can think of cinnamon raisin bagels. They smell wonderful. Oh, yeah. I love them. I love how they smell, how they taste. But when I burn them, and Blake knows.
Yeah, Blake knows.
You lose that. Yeah. You lose those smells or those flavors. And I think that's what happens.
Yeah, definitely.
With coffee. I think it's a good way to put it. And also, additionally, when we think about mass market, as you put it, and I like how you worded, more attention is given to it, more care.
Yeah.
And we can think of also coffee harvesting. They pick the coffee grounds, the coffee beans for either craft coffee or mass market coffee. And specialty coffee, there's a lot of attention that goes into picking the cherry when it's ripe, roasting the coffee, depulping it, and all those things which we don't want to get into. But think about mass market coffee. All that care, all that attention is not put into that product because that product has a market, mass market, and it serves a purpose.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, you can conclude that quality coffee, or better said, good harvesting, proper harvesting the coffee beans at the proper time is not something that's given priority when you think about mass market coffee.
Yeah, because you have to produce so much coffee, you just rake it all in, and you don't sort through what's good, what's bad. You just take all of the coffee cherries.
Yeah.
And then you strip them, you roast them, and they have to all taste the same.
You try to simplify production or the process to just get it done.
And so then the cup you taste in New York is going to taste the same in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Is it going to be good?
No, but you achieve uniformity.
Which is what mass market coffee aims to do. So what would you say is the other main cause of bitterness?
I would say the second main cause of bitterness, which is many times overlooked, is that the water is too hot. Yeah. And again, it's no one's fault because when you're home brewing, when you're brewing a cup of coffee at home, you don't pay attention to the temperature of the water, especially if the system you're using or the coffee machine is automatic. You press a button and it makes the coffee. Yeah. You don't even know to what temperature that machine is preset to boil the water.
Right. So it could be too hot.
Yes.
Yeah, boiling water.
For the most part, it will be too hot.
Yeah, it will be too hot where the water is just boiling and comes in contact with those grounds and just burns them up.
Yeah, and to put it simply, think about when you're brewing coffee like any other recipe. When you're preparing an egg in a certain way, you need the water at a certain temperature. When you're preparing asparagus or whatever it may be, each recipe needs a certain temperature. The same way with coffee. Yeah. You're brewing a certain type of coffee, you want it to extract certain flavors, water temperature.
Right.
Water temperature.
Right. And so then that brings us to the third point. So when you have lower quality coffee, water that's just way too hot, and then coffee brewers, most of the ones that people have at home, just puts those together for way too long, which is referred to as over extraction.
Yes.
And that's where a lot of bitterness comes from. Because even if you have a good quality coffee, appropriate temperature water. If you over extract the coffee, leave the coffee with the water too long, you're going to have bitter coffee still.
Yeah.
And so I think those three, like when you put them all together, is what many people are experiencing and why they feel their coffee is just too bitter.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So we need to understand that bitterness is a quality. Much like other foods, other drinks, bitterness is a quality, but it's balanced with other things.
That's true. Like this cup.
Yeah.
In this cup, you taste the bitterness because coffee has bitterness as a quality. But it also has acidity, that little sourness you enjoy. Mm-hmm. And also, believe it or not, sweetness.
Yeah.
People don't believe, obviously, it's not a Kit Kat. It's not a Snickers bar.
Right.
But there's sweetness in coffee.
Yeah, and what I think, how I want to describe that is there's no sugar in coffee, obviously.
No.
But there's a perceived sweetness when you taste something. Like sometimes when you suck on a lemon. Have you ever had that before where you suck on a lemon and then the aftertaste is kind of sweet?
Yeah.
A little bit. And that's what we can have. That's what we can have with coffee sometimes. Yeah. And so we can have that perceived sweetness that balances out the bitterness, the sourness, and it all works together to make a really good cup.
Yeah. An interesting note, our tongue have the most tolerance for sweetness.
Yes, definitely.
So maybe that's why, or maybe that's not why, that it is why. You need a lot of sugar for something to be too sweet. Mm-hmm. So when we train our tongue and our mind, we learn to identify sweetness in coffee naturally and enjoy it as well. So, keeping that in mind, this is really good.
Yeah, it is.
It is really good. Why we wanted to cover this is because there's better coffee out there for everyone.
Mm-hmm. That everyone has access with the internet, with all the information that we have. We can get good coffee. You can order this online for not much more than what you're paying for coffee in the store. And it will be head and shoulders above anything that you get in a traditional supermarket.
And here's my thing. My I guess pet peeve.
Oh, yeah.
My pet peeve is if you're going through drive-thru and paying $6, sometimes more.
Often, yeah.
Yeah, for a cup of coffee. And it's okay. I've done it. We've all been there. It's just so convenient. But if you're willing to pay that amount of money for a cup of coffee, you could get way better coffee for way less. And when you're going through that drive-thru, to that strangely named cup of coffee, let me show you what you're getting. Let me show you what you're getting. I'll show you right now. It's a white base. That was unnecessarily large. But
I actually think that's how much they put in it.
And that is a caramel macchiato.
Is that my macchiato?
Yeah,
you got my macchiato?
That is your macchiato.
If you showed that to an Italian, they'd smack you in the face.
Probably.
But anyway.
But here's the thing. If you're willing to pay that amount of money, you could get extraordinary coffee.
Yes.
Extraordinary coffee with all the knowledge, all the technology available. I mean, there's no reason. And by the way, have you noticed, in all the drive-thrus, they're usually facing away from traffic.
Yeah.
I think it's for consumer shame.
I haven't noticed that, but I'll look now.
Yeah.
I'll look now.
I mean, I don't know. But definitely, when I order my Baconator in the middle of the night, it makes me feel way better when there's woods between me and the lady.
Or you get your caramel macchiato first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning.
Whipped cream's not bad, though, you know.
It's not bad.
This straw stinks. Anyway, so we hope you enjoyed our first episode. Why our coffee is bitter. We hope you demand better coffee from your local coffee shop.
And we'll help you.
We're here for you. So stay tuned to later episodes. And we're going to discuss something next week.
Ooh. Because when you do get that extraordinary cup of coffee, should you put cream and sugar?
Well, we'll save it for next week. We'll talk about that next week.
We'll save it.
Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to our YouTube page. Appreciate that. Follow us on Instagram. The link's in the description to Better Coffee.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next week.
See you next time.
Thank you.